Welcome back, everybody, to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I am not muted, and I am your host, Phil. Let's dive into what we are going to be looking at today. Last night, when we did the live roundtable, if you would have told me you'd be waking up to Bitcoin dead at 121K, I would have told you, nah, that can't be happening. But here we are. So don't worry, guys. We're going to bring the Hopium. We're going to take a look at some good news. And of course, that's right. Everybody can actually hear me. Good morning, everybody. I've not screwed it up yet today, but don't worry. There's time. There's time. Okay. Anyways, let's go over the stories that we are going to take a look at. The stars are aligning for Bitcoin. We're going to review some of that Bitcoin supply shock. A little bit of that Bitcoin supply shock going on, right? Morgan Stanley giving a new suggestion for Bitcoin allocation. Well, we're going to see what we think about that. Of course, as we could imagine, as Bitcoin continues to defy gravity, the banking Panopticon intensifies. We're going to take a look at some of the measures that are going to be put in place for our safety. Of course, it's always for our safety. Paper Bitcoin summer updates. What would be a live episode without the paper Bitcoin summer updates? Ugh. Yeah, NACA not doing too well today anyways, huh? We're going to look at Blackrock and Bitdeer on that one. What else? We're going to take a look at the digital euro Singapore banking update. That's right, guys. That's all part of the banking Panopticon because, of course, we are definitely in the then they fight you stage. Anybody that tells you that they're at the then we win, this is like, yeah, we are quote unquote winning, but this is part of the journey and we're still in the then they fight you. You need to realize governments don't actually think Bitcoin's a threat yet. Right? Like they don't actually realize what's happening. For them, it's just like, oh yeah, we'll take this asset and we'll monetize it and do what we always do. Good luck with that one. We're going to see how that works out. Yeah, and of course, guys, Bitcoin and gold. The relationship intensifies. That's right, guys. We're going to review all of this stuff. You know the deal. Before we do that, I'm going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we're going to be right back to dive into all this fun stuff. Here we go.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
Don't worry, guys. I'm not muting today in the middle of videos. Okay, I'm not doing any of that stuff. Just gonna go through the show and not mute. I'm gonna try not to screw this up. All right, here we go. Anyways, let's dive into the Hopium right away. Fiscal fears fuel flight. Yeah, try to say that one 10 times fast. To Bitcoin, gold as major currencies falter. I don't think, yeah, I know hard. It's a little bit early. I still got plenty of time to screw up. I mean, look, this is no surprise. No surprise that we're seeing that. And we see like the treasury rates of all the different countries, like every single one of them is spiking. So that's not really good. I'm talking about the 10-year bonds. Anyways, the so-called debasement trade has gained traction amid rising national debts and political instability, prompting a broad retreat from fiat assets, according to a Monday report. You know what? I got to be honest, though. Stock markets are sitting at all-time highs. So this idea that people are retreating and doing this, I mean, of course, right? Obviously, I appreciate this news because I hold Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin. So for me, hey, this is fantastic. But I just don't... I don't necessarily buy that that's actually happening. The average person, the average investor, like they don't really see their equities as fiat assets. Yeah, so sounds good. Not really sure how true that is, but definitely sounds good. Makes me feel good. Okay, moving on. Got a little more Hopium to take a look at here. You guys probably saw this, right? The Morgan Stanley recommends Bitcoin and crypto in portfolios. I'm not so sure about them recommending crypto. Definitely Bitcoin, though. The banking giant suggests up to 4% exposure designed for higher risks and higher returns. What kind of bearish shit is that? 4% allocation? It's nonsense. Censorship resistant. Hard capped. Government can't mess with this. And you're suggesting people go 4% after 16 years? of proving that this asset can defy fiat reality. Sorry, Morgan Stanley, that's freaking weak. 4% allocation. I'd still be sitting at my job with that one. Anyways, not financial advice, just I'd still be sitting at my job with the 4% allocation. Anyways, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that is just not what I wanted to do anymore. So, right, to each their own. Anyways, moving on, guys. Let's take a look at some of the paper Bitcoin updates, right? Because of course there are some paper Bitcoin updates that we can take a look at here. Okay, so BlackRock is planning to launch their Bitcoin ETP in the UK in 2 days. More paper Bitcoin. Are we really surprised? No. Great for BlackRock. It's wonderful. To me, this just equals more systemic contagion, which, again, I don't really care. And when I talk about systemic contagion, I'm not talking about Bitcoin, right? I'm talking about Bitcoin derivative products. Bitcoin is the one thing that is unfuckwithable. All of the rest of this stuff is shenanigans. Anyways, good for BlackRock. They're building their, they're making inroads. Good for them. All right, let's continue. So, Singaporean publicly traded Bitcoin mining company Bitdeer increased its holdings to 31.9 and now 31.9 BTC and now holds a total of 2,029.4. It's funny, no matter how much these companies seem to buy Bitcoin, nobody cares. I mean, I don't know if you saw that news today from NACA about how they're changing their convertible debt structure. Nobody cares. I think freaking sunk below $1. Just went down. Like instead of sitting there and playing these weird shenanigans and musical chairs with your debt notes, why don't you try to figure out how to build revenue for a business, and then you can buy Bitcoin. This is not rocket science. It's so sad. It's so sad that these people rather waste energy and waste time on this merry-go-round of stupidity, trying to get money for doing absolutely nothing besides holding Bitcoin. This is stupid. It just doesn't end well. Anyways, we'll see though, right? I can definitely be wrong, and then I'm going to have to come back and be like, guys, I was mistaken. Doing absolutely nothing and just holding Bitcoin and never earning a penny was the best thing I ever did. I don't see myself saying that. Anyways, paper Bitcoin summer. Let's continue on. Canadian publicly traded Bitcoin ATM service provider, right? Bitcoin Well. Right? We know these guys. I think it's, is that Adam O'Brien? Adam O'Brien. Anyways, yeah. So look, they just bought 12.26 more Bitcoin, and they now hold a total of 54.62 BTC. Good for them. Look, like I've said before, I don't really just do the business. Do the business, buy the Bitcoin, hold the Bitcoin. Like I appreciate them announcing it. At the very least, these guys have a legitimate or seemingly legitimate Bitcoin business, right? Where they're actually selling Bitcoin and they are actually bringing in revenue from the outside world that doesn't involve diluting their shareholders or selling off parts of the company to keep the lights on. So I can definitely appreciate that. That's right, hard hodl, right? It's just DCA to BTC and stay humble. It really is an illusion for the paper hands. It really is. It's too bad. But yeah, good stuff here. Good stuff on this one. I know I should sound more excited if I'm trying to sell it to you, but guess what? I don't work for one of these paper Bitcoin companies, so I'm not trying to sell you this. That's the beauty. That is the beauty of all of this fun stuff. Okay, let's move on. We are going to move on. We are going to take a look at the banking Panopticon. Let's see what's going on here. Nope, not that one. Not that banking Panopticon. Different banking Panopticon. Here we go. Some choice words from our favorite Euro felon, right? Don't you wish you could be a felon and run the ECB, right? Don't you wish that you could do that? Well, it's not for people like you and me. It's for special people like Christine Lagarde.
Digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay.
You like how you like how she's just making sure that you're not worried. Cash is here to stay. We're gonna be walking with you side by side on this one.
You will have all options.
All options.
Cash and digital cash.
So good.
So what does it mean for you?
Prison.
For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area.
So good.
All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process.
Oh, what? But you just said it was free and easy to use. But now all of a sudden it's subject to the legislative process.
Cash or digital, the choice will be yours.
Yeah, I highly doubt that one. Anyways, look, I appreciate her acting skills. I think she probably could have read that. Probably could have read that a few more times before she did it on camera. I feel like that it was very stiff, very how could I say this? Fake as hell. just didn't sound like it actually came from a real human, right? There's obviously somebody standing on the other side with a giant board, and they're obviously coaching her through what to say. So look, guys, all of the efforts that people made last year, submitting all of those designs for the new euro. Don't worry, guys. Cash is going to be side by side with the digital. I feel like we've seen this type of stuff play out time and time again in different ways. And I've mentioned this in the past. It's always this series of goose stepping, right? Just kind of inching everybody along, right? Until you get to the cliff and boom, just like the lemmings, off the cliff they go. I am glad that the US is not moving at the speed of the euro, embracing this digital panopticon prison. I don't, when I hear words about the whole free, easy to use, it's your choice. That's just somebody trying to make you feel good before they force the medicine down. It tastes like cherries, right? Remember that? You were a kid and stuff like that. Your parents were like, oh, you got to take this. I don't want it. It tastes like crap. No. It tastes like cherries. No, it doesn't. Anyways, good luck. Good luck to my fellow European friends. I genuinely hope that you get the hell out of there if you can. If you can't, then I hope that you hold Bitcoin in. I hope that you're self-sovereign and that you hold it in cold storage. You hold your own keys and you don't trust the exchanges. Anyways, okay, moving on from that, because guess what? It actually gets worse. Surprisingly, you're like, Phil, how does it get worse? It just gets worse. Shout out to Lucky Red Fish on this one. Lucky Red Fish, you always given me such great news from across the pond that I am just not paying attention to. So I really appreciate this. Let's dive into this, because again, this is more banking, panopticon, dystopian. I don't want to live in this type of stuff, right? So here we go. Banks, and it's not surprising. It's just, this is what it is. This is where we're going. If you read The Sovereign Citizen, you probably have a pretty good idea. If you read The Fourth Turning, you also probably have a good idea. Oh, wait, Mr. Business here. Let me dive into what you just said over here. Cash will be an option until the bank starts to accept your money without ever. Absolutely. Yeah, to me, again, it's just the carrot, right? On the end of the stick. Don't worry. You've always got cash. It's always great. But then eventually, right? What did you notice? Have you gone to a store lately and have you tried? Like, have you paid in cash? I went to a barbecue place 2 weeks ago, and I pulled out cash, and the girl working at the cash was, in my eyes, either a Zoomer or a very young millennial. I'm a Gen X, so I can't tell the difference. And she looked at me like, she was like, "Oh wow," she's like, "You've got cash." I go, "I know, I'm an old person," and she goes, "Yeah, right." So it's happening. It is totally happening. You show up in some places and you provide cash and they're like, "What is this stuff? What do I do with this?" Anyways, I know I'm exaggerating, but still, like, we're not far from that. Okay, let's dive into what's going on out here in Singapore, because it is not funny. Banks may reject some transfers if more than half of an account's balance is moved. And guys, I'm going to preface this. It's for our safety. Okay? They're just trying to protect you and me. Now, they made a wonderful little video explaining everything, and we are going to sit back and watch this video, and I will not mute my mic.
October 15th in Singapore, if you try to transfer out more than half your account balance from a bank account with at least 50,000 Singapore dollars, your bank may hold or even reject your transfer. This new safeguard kicks in if your transfers or withdrawals in 24 hours add up to over 50% of your account balance. Now, the transfer that triggered it, plus any new ones, will be frozen for 24 hours. Customers
It's for your safety. Just keep that in mind while we're watching this. It's all for our safety, guys.
will get notified immediately via their mobile banking app or internet banking platform. The pause is meant to give scam victims a cognitive break so they have time to realize they've been tricked and cancel the transfer. If your transfer is legit, it will go through after the cooling period. But if it's urgent, you'll need to verify it with your bank at a branch, ATM, or hotline. So if you've got big, time-sensitive payments coming up, you might want to plan in advance. This applies to current and savings accounts across major banks like DBS, OCBC, UOB, HSBC, Standard Chartered, and Maybank.
So look, guys, if you have an emergency, you've got to plan ahead. I mean, I'm always planning ahead for emergencies, right? Things that happen that you weren't expecting. I'm planning ahead for those things. Just glad that the bank is doing what needs to be done for my safety, right? For your safety. And it's interesting, right? That there's this quote unquote cooling off period. And in every single instance, okay, in every single instance of whether they reject or just because there's a difference, right, guys? There's a difference because as the video explained, so they can reject the transaction, but they can also place a hold on it initially, then reject it. So this is, I mean, if there was any more indicator that this is not your money and that we're asking for permission to use our money, I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, this is blanket. This is right there, right? They've drawn it. They've put a threshold and they've said anything that meets this threshold or above, we are making the decisions. And it frustrates me to no end because I actually do care about the time that I've spent for a good portion of my life working. And this was before I understood, of course, that the money was broken. To me, I just figured, hey, I'll just save, right? I'll work, I'll save, I'll live within my means, and I'll invest, and it'll work out. But I didn't realize, it hadn't hit me that I was asking for permission. Right? When I deposited my checks, when I was going to use, when I was going to pay bills, right? When I was going out with my wife, going out for supper or something like that. It did not dawn on me. And you can clearly see it. The walls are closing in. Like right now for us in the US, right? We see this is out in Singapore. So, for people like me, I'm like, it's on the other side of the pond. That doesn't affect me until it does. Okay. Now, I understand here in the States, right, we're seeing some legislation push back on CBDCs and stuff like that. But make no mistake, our bank accounts already get frozen, right? We are already asking for permission. We've been asking for permission to use our money for years. So do I believe that this can't happen here? No, I do believe that this absolutely can happen here. How long, right? How long does it actually take? Or what is a catalyst that would actually cause this? I'm not sure. I'm not sure besides a financial panic. Yeah, exactly, Hard Huddle. Where's Roman? I'm disappointed. Always expect to see him, but I hope he's doing well. Who knows? Maybe he's like super busy this morning. But yeah, guys, look, it is not getting any prettier out there. Every single one of these situations is itself an advertisement for Bitcoin, an advertisement to learn about how you can exert your own personal freedom. It is an advertisement to make sure that if you have kids and you have a family and you want to make sure that these people do thrive in the future, that you do something for them. And a big portion of doing something for them is making sure that you have Bitcoin in self-custody and, of course,
that you have a plan. God forbid, right? Everybody, all of us, that there's no healthiest guy in the graveyard, right? Every single one of us goes. You need to have a succession plan, right? You got to make sure that your Bitcoin is going to be able to be accessible to your kids or whoever it is that you want to leave it to, and that they are actually going to be able to better the future, right? Anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I figured I'd throw in some moral lessons, right? Some morals and some ethics. Why not? Have a great rest of the day. We are going to be back tomorrow. Not we. I have no mouse in my pocket. I am going to be back tomorrow at 12:10 p.m. Eastern time to dive into all the news between now and then. Don't freak out about Bitcoin being dead right now at 121K. Actually, here, let's go take a look at the chart just for the sake of it, because why not? We're bouncing. 121, 250. Fiat games. Fiat bouncing. Don't worry about it. Got to have I hate the term diamond hands. Just have conviction. Because let's be honest, if your hands were actually made out of diamonds, you wouldn't even be able to move. Your fingers wouldn't even bend. It's nonsense. Just have conviction. All right, guys. Have a great rest of the day. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take it easy.